Hello, everybody. Welcome to this evening's live. We are here for a Read-A-Thon wrap party. So I'm going to welcome in all my guests. We have 5 waiting in the wings, one by one, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their channel, the book they read, the author, the genre when they come in. So we'll do a little, beauty pageant style walk down the runway and why we're here. So I organized, and then Beth Ann jumped in and sort of helped jumpstart the Black Authortuber Readathon. And this was just an effort to support Black authors in a month that is focused on Black history and do something in our sort of smaller community that would have more impact than maybe participating in a big thing, right? So if the advice is to do the work in your own backyard and work on your local and state elections, this was my equivalent, is working within Authortube. So here to help us talk about the books we read, which was, I was thinking it was a dozen, but it turns out it's a lot more because people snuck in book titles without telling me, which is great. Let's welcome in Jenna first. Boop. Jenna O'Malley, welcome, welcome.
Hello, I'm Jenna O'Malley, the Soul Writer. Let's see, my channel is a bunch of crazy, isn't it? I run about 5 or 6 different shows, or try to over there, about writing, reading, and various things. As a teacher, I gravitated toward this book, The Keeper's Vow by Francina Simone, because, well, a lot of my students are from inner city, so they have witnessed a friend or a loved one experience what happens to one of the characters in their own front yard.
All right.
So for me, it was a moment to step back and remember what it was like myself being an inner city kid, to relate back to my students to a degree. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Sweet. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to welcome Shannon in next. Here we go. Welcome, welcome. She's got a bit of a lag, but hold on.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
It'll catch up, don't worry. Keep going.
Oh, okay. SD Houston, my pen name, and that's just kind of throwing me all off here. I read Morgan Lee's Seed Among the Thorns and Lizelle Stanberry's Blood Like Magic.
Yay! And what genres are those in?
Oh, Seed Among the Thorns was a dark fantasy, and Blood Like Magic is a dark urban fantasy.
Very cool. Thank you, thank you. Welcome Beth Ann in next. Hello, Beth Ann.
Hello, hello. Am I successfully here?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Beth Ann. My channel name is Beth Ann Bruninga Sokolar. That's a mouthful of a last name. And I'm a booktube channel. So I'm here hanging out with these authors, which is crazy but fun. And I just do all the standard booktube stuff. I mostly treat my channel as social media, just talking about what I'm reading. So it's book focused, but just, updates about what I'm reading, TBRs, some tag videos, that sort of thing. And I read a bunch of books, so let's see if we can get through these. Okay, Margaret's helping me out with a list. So yeah, 2 of these I have physical copies of. So I have The Shaping of an Angry Black Woman by Tamara Woods. This is a poetry collection. Then I have Seed Among the Thorns by Morgan Lee. And as Shannon said, I buddy read this with Shannon. This is a dark fantasy. It's a little bit YA because the main characters are teens, but it's definitely, I think, like mature enough that I certainly enjoyed it as an adult and felt like I related to it. And Shannon and I did a video discussing it that's over on my channel if you want to hear more about that later. And then I read Honors Reserve by Michael Laron. That was a buddy read with John, who will come on in a second. And that was sci-fi space opera, very action-packed. And then I read a fantasy trilogy, which is the Accidentally in Love trilogy by Nicole Falls. And the 3 titles are up here on the screen. We've got Adore You, Smitten, and Then Came You. So adult contemporary romance.
Woohoo! Thank you, thank you. So next we've got John from Hey Y'all Listen Up. Welcome to the stream.
Howdy, howdy. My name is John, and I read Honors Reserve with Michael by Michael Leron. Got the book here, and again, science fiction. And I enjoyed this one. It was a good, fast-paced story.
Sweet. All right. And what do people find on your channel? Inevitably, in every video.
Well, appears Anthony
Candy
Cochran.
corn.
There you go.
Well, that too.
Candy corn and Piers Anthony.
Well,
Carrie will love
these
that.
two shells are Piers Anthony books.
Oh my gosh. All right. And our last guest tonight is Ben Pick from Running to Write. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, like Margaret said, I'm from Running to Write. I post videos every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, all about the writing process through writing metaphors when I can fit them in. For this readathon, I officially read Served Cold, which is an anthology. It's a horror anthology. Cool. And there were two specific stories in there. There was Ensnared by Aphrodite Lee and Fractals by D.L. Tillery. So there were some really fun horror stories throughout the entire anthology, but those were the two that I focused on for this readathon. And then I actually snuck in, I have a physical copy here. It's Song of Blood and Stone. Yeah, I got that right. Song of Blood and Stone by Leslie Penelope. And it was all those short stories, this book, they were all fantastic. The anthology series was a widespread across the horror genre. There was a lot of a mix of different horror subgenres. So you have your monster horrors and everything else. And this is more of a fantasy, somewhat modern fantasy epic, like 1900s. So
cool deal.
All around encourage those reads.
Yay. All right. So I think we got like every genre. Can you name a genre that we didn't cover? Because I thought we did pretty well when I looked over all the books and put them in the descriptions.
Self-help, but fiction, yes. Nonfiction, no? Question mark?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna welcome people in the chat. We got Barrett here saying hello. Anita here from her earlier interview. Well done. Cool Gamer stopping in to say hello. Everyone in the stream is also in the chat because they're pros, and no one left it on volume. So I appreciate that, everybody. We made it. Oh my goodness. Pay is here to say hello. Hello.
Hi, Pay.
Hi. JC is here. Hello. Shannon is explaining the internet is that there's a storm again, so that is the situation. But she'll be bearing with us, and we're glad that there's rain somewhere. Bethan says, "I really want to read Serve Cold." Excellent. We're gonna talk about swapping recommendations later because we all listen to each other come in and talk about our channels a little bit. So maybe we'll be able to say, "Ooh, I think you should read this." Yes. Okay. Caught up. Just trying to keep up with everybody here. So welcome. We have an echo, but that's okay. I was going to ask which of these books was most hyped on BookTube for you? And this is for people in the chat as well, because I think what we did for this readathon was we had people we knew, Black authors with Authortube channels, but then there were also people who weren't in the community already that we sought out and sort of like sucked them in and put them in the spreadsheet so that other people would know about them, and then publicize the spreadsheet so that people could go, oh, this sounds like a fun thing. Why don't I sign up and do a buddy read, right? So I think we tractor beamed some people in. Maybe we could also just say, what made you want to join the readathon? So if people in the chat want to write which books was most hyped, and if people on the panel want to say, what made you join the readathon?
Well, if we're going in order of introduction, break the ice, why not? You made me want to read something for the sake of my students. That was actually a fun read. That wasn't professional development. Thank you. I also actually threw this book on my list of suggestions for my older students. I can't have them read it for class, but if they're doing like, I need something to read because I'm bored or I'm doing an independent reading project, I can slip certain books like this one in there a little bit depending on the student. So, but I think the one I heard the most about otherwise was Blood Like Magic, and just, oh, that book.
Did you read it too,
Nice.
Jenna?
Shh, no spoilers tonight. I'm in the middle of it. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So you haven't watched Shannon and my discussion?
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, it is very hyped because she does a great job promoting and marketing. So that's really good. Okay, professional development was not what I was expecting. That's a great reason. How about anyone else?
Well, I can go next since I'm in the line. So there's kind of 3 reasons. First is that I don't make a lot of time for reading anymore since I started writing as a profession. So this was a good way to force myself to read something. And 2, yes, I had heard this hyped quite a bit on Lizelle's channel, and I really, really wanted it. I had actually put it on my wish list, and I got it from Barrett Laurie, who's in the chat for my Secret Santa, which was great because I already had it on my wish list.
The Secret Santa that Shannon organized. Thank you, which was super fun.
You're
Yes.
doing that again, right?
The 3rd reason, because I want to do anything that Margaret Pinard is doing.
Aw. Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I can go next because one of my reasons is the same as Shannon's. After the March of the Moderns readathon that you organized last year, it was just like, yeah, any readathon Margaret organizes is going to be interesting and it's going to be fun. And so you sort of teased this idea, and we're like, does anybody, would anybody be interested in this? And I was like, oh yes, me. And then I also had just like a general 2022 goal of wanting to start reading on Authortube because there is some crossover between Authortube and BookTube. And so I'd been starting to hear more about self-published authors that were, had YouTube channels, and I was getting a little bit curious. And so I didn't have like a set 2022 reading challenge for myself, but I just sort of had my ears and eyes open. And so, yeah, Margaret teased this, and I was like, I am jumping in with the Authortube starting to go down my list, I guess. Yeah, so it's a good place to start.
Nice. Yay.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. And you are our like winner of the prize of reading the most books. So superhero status. It was great.
Well, I joined for a variety of reasons. First, I did want to support Margaret and Beth Ann because this is a really good idea. And like Beth Ann, I've been reading more independent authors, and I've really enjoyed what I've read thus far. And then, I looked at the list, and the science fiction book kind of leaped out at me. Plus, it was a chance to buddy read with Beth Ann. So it gave me a chance to read something with Beth Ann that was not Dragonlance.
But we're going to go back to Dragonlance, right, John? I haven't forgotten that we sort of talked about one of the trilogies.
That's right. I'm actually planning on starting it maybe the end of this month, but maybe next month. So
okay, keep me posted.
We'll talk then. So
yeah, great. Always Dragonlance.
Guess I can close it out. So again, Margaret is excellent at promoting her own readathons. It just sounded really exciting, and I had heard about Serve Cold before it came out last year, and a couple of people were promoting it, and so it seemed like something I wanted to read, and so that just really stuck out to me in the list of potential books that you wanted to share with everyone.
Yeah, and I was really looking for someone to like plug the whole of horror because I wasn't gonna read horror, but I really wanted that to be represented, so I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And I like this comment a lot. If you don't leave with an overflowing TBR, we have failed in our readathon wrap up. Jenna with the appropriate hashtag. Thank you, Dragonlance forever. I still haven't read a single one of these. I also have never watched an episode of Buffy or Spike, and I want to change that. I want to reform.
How can you not watch Buffy? And it's Buffy and Angel, not Spike.
I was
There's
going to
no
say,
shame in
Angel.
Wrong, Romantis.
That's what I meant. Yeah, haven't read Dragonlance books in ages, but they were great, says Anita. Always worth a revisit. Cool. Excellent. Okay, so we've covered the genres. We covered why we joined. Let's start with the review Oh, wait. Before we go into the sort of more in-depth reviews, I know some of you guys have done wrap-ups of February or specific reviews on your channels. But we're going to recap that a little here because all the people are coming to the yard tonight for the party. So this is what we're going to do. Oh, I know. I didn't get to talk about my books.
I was about to say, Margaret, did you reach for your own readathon?
I did. Okay, and then I can go through the other folks too. So the two other readers who couldn't make it tonight, and then I'll finish with myself. Loretta at Read Write Collage, who read with Leo, who's also not here. So Loretta couldn't make it, but she read Through It All by Giselle Mills, which is an also very hyped book because this is a book that she wrote as a high schooler. And it like got loads and loads of sales, loads and loads of cred. So got very popular very quickly. And Leo Bancroft is one of the booktubers I have met in real life because he lives here in Portland and came to Yule Book Afloat, which is awesome. And Leo read The Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown and Through It All by Giselle Mills. And Post-its and Parchment by W. Scott, who might be in the chat because he's a booktuber, authortuber, but I said lurking is encouraged, so he might be lurking. Oh, well, that's Ben. Okay, hopefully Ben will pop back in.
What are the genres for those books?
Forgotten Girl is YA horror, I think, and Through It All is, I think, YA romance, fantasy romance. It's in the spreadsheet, but yeah. And Post-its and Parchment is a poetry collection. We've got a few of those tonight. Yeah. And
I have a beer, Shannon. Saw your comment.
Oh, yay! I'm not alone.
Yeah,
you're not drinking alone. Don't worry.
We're good too.
Awesome.
No idea what happened there. I'm sorry.
No worries. Here we go. Okay. So here are mine. If you're here, you know about my channel already, so I won't go into that. But the books that I read were The Art of Love by Jc Carpenter, who's in the chat. That is a poetry collection. Christmas with the Rights by Christina C. Jones, which is a contemporary romance. And it's actually a novella that's sort of like the epilogue to the series of novels of all the different couples and sort of whetted my appetite for the rest of the series. Very good. And she just dropped an author planner. So if you guys, authors, maybe have been looking for a planner, she just dropped a digital version and a paper version and went into like all the customization stuff she's done for it. And so that's very exciting. That just happened like yesterday. And then Angel Born by Elle Penelope, which Ben had also read. This is a fantasy romance, and it was, that's for a different readathon. Never mind. Fantasy romance, yes. And then finally, Blood Like Magic with Shannon we talked about for our buddy read by Lizelle Sambury. So there we go. To conclude with all the introduction stuff. Responsible people drinking. What are we talking about? What have I missed?
Talking about our drinks.
Hello, Nia. Welcome. Responsible people drinking water. I'm not. Nia drinks water. Yeah.
Okay.
That's beer. Okay, got it. I'm like, squeeze emojis. Excellent. I've got water next to me because as we saw right before we went live, I have a tendency to start choking at the most inopportune moments. So yeah. Okay, so who wants to go first to talk a little bit more about their books? I thought we'd go first to the people we had not heard from, countries not yet heard from, which is Beth Ann and John, who haven't revealed their buddy read thoughts for Michael Aron's book. So tell us a little bit about what you know about the author and then what the book's about, premise, any of that stuff.
Yeah, I actually don't know anything about the author, which I feel a little bit bad about. I mean, I looked up his website and I looked up his channel and everything, but I had some personal life stuff happen in February. And so I had to triage and I was like, I will read. And that is my top priority. So I will also just come clean. I haven't watched that many videos of these channels and things like that, but I did read the books. So yeah, so I don't know very much about the author, except that he's very prolific. And so he's written a lot of sci-fi, urban fantasy, I think some regular fantasy. So he's written in several genres, but then he also has nonfiction writing craft books, I believe. So yeah, so I haven't looked at those. but definitely a whole lot to choose from on his channel. But so the book that that I had picked out to suggest for the Read-A-Thon was in his epic space opera series, and I think he bills this series in advertising as sort of like the Avengers. And so the idea is that he has several books that each focus on one main character, and then I think maybe like 6 books in, something like that, he's going to start doing books that pull together all of the main characters who are coming together to do save the universe type stuff. So John and I read the first one, Honors Reserve, and of course now I'm forgetting character names, so maybe John will have to help me fill in the character names.
Mason McCoy's the main character.
Yes, McCoy. Yeah. Yeah. And so we follow, this young guy. He's been in the Coast Guard Reserve. He had gotten called up. And he's actually just about at the end of his tour. He's just about ready to go home. And he's on like a salvage crew. His ship goes to boats that need rescuing, have run out of gas or whatever and need help. And so they go to what at first looks like a regular call, but then it turns out that all is not what it seems. And he's sort of thrown into the thick of action-packed rescue mission. There's some high-level politics going on in the background and like intergalactic war. And it gets very intense very quickly. But the action is just like very focused on this main character and like what he's doing, from moment to moment. So it was a good, like fast-paced action, well-written read. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this book is basically the Coast Guard in space, which to me is something I've not seen before. So it was a really interesting idea, and and I did have a couple of issues with the book, but it was a good, fast-paced book, and it was an enjoyable read. And as slow as I read, I actually finished it in like 24 hours.
Whoa, that is fast-paced. So in Beth Ann's description, it made me think of going into a situation and then having like all these things go wrong, and then you're sort of accelerating the pacing. It made me think of Memory Called Empire. So I am less informed on the differences between space opera and like hard sci-fi and even like military sci-fi. So can either of you delineate that for me? Because that's an unknown.
It's a little hand wavy for me too, but one of the things John and I chatted about is some of the laws of physics are broken, and the author does come straight out at the beginning. I am not a scientist. I make no claim to know this stuff. So there were a couple moments where we noticed things like that. So I would say definitely not for hard sci-fi readers that are reading like for the tech, and for like that aspect of it. But the author isn't trying to do that. So it is pretty character based. Like you're just really wrapped up in McCoy, in his thought processes, in his quick responses, in his emotional connection to these emergency situations that he's in. So I don't know what standard genre definitions there might or might not be for like space opera, but to me, that was what made it on the space opera side, as opposed to like more of a classic or hard sci-fi side, was that we were much more in the mind of the character, and it was really focused on how he was handling the situation and less on what are the specifics of like the tech in the situation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what space opera really is. But yeah, this is definitely a soft sci-fi because, he's using science fiction as the medium to tell the story. He's not trying to get the science right. Whereas last month, I also read The Stars Like Dust, which is by Isaac Asimov. And Asimov actually tried to get the science right, at least the science as he understood it back in the 50s. So, and it's, here again, I mean, they're both traveling through space, and Asimov actually goes through like, everything in space is moving. And so you have to make all of these calculations to kind of get from point A to B, and do it in a way that doesn't violate the rules of relativity.
Have you guys heard of the term science fantasy? Because I just learned about this. I think on the thing with Shannon.
That's basically what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned that too.
I hadn't heard about this, but that makes sense. Like intuitively, I'm responding to the words. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Blood Like Magic fit into that category too, because while it was an urban science fantasy, they had a lot of things that were outgrowths of today's world in terms of policy choices and technology growth and like genetic manipulation. So it felt very like science fiction-y, but also magic. So yeah,
Interesting.
really, really good. Cool. What about, so the other part of the recommendation process I usually do is like, who is this book good for? Like, who would you recommend it to for that one? And then we can jump off into some of the other discussions to recap reviews.
Anybody that enjoys a book that kind of reads like a movie, if you were watching a movie, I think would enjoy the book. Like, you know, a good action movie. That's who's really going to enjoy the book.
Yeah, completely agree.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We're educating Barrett Laura here, who had not yet heard of science fantasy.
Me neither, Barrett.
There we go. Even the pros here, even the booktube pros are like catching up. Excellent. Always good to learn something new. May the force be with you. Thank you, Shannon. The force, yeah. And Pace says, I always thought of Dune as being sci-fi fantasy, but I've been told I'm wrong. I don't know. What is Dune categorized as by
I would
purists?
say it's sci-fi fantasy because you have the Bene Gesserit who can foretell events.
Exactly.
So
Okay. Who has read Dune in this crowd?
I'm
me, I'm
like
embarrassed.
3/4 the way there.
For how long have you been 3/4 of the way there, Ben?
Ooh.
No. I started like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
No.
I have books that I have been reading for like a year. So
No.
all right, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, Nia's on the channel. I'm doing my own collaboration with her, so
Nice.
it's
I
getting
was
there.
gonna say Nia would know more about Dune because she's brushing up on that to doing her show, scripting the book.
Oh, the adaptations?
Yep.
Yeah, looking at the book and the different adaptations. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Nia. That's great. Anita has also read Dune. Cool. Okay, well, good. I don't know if we want to comp that to any of the titles we've read because I can't do that. Yeah, definitely dystopian. Cool. Okay, so everyone else has given their review online. Does anyone want to pop in to like recap the high points, their favorite parts, let's see, which audience their book would be good for?
Well, I think that both the books I read would be good for a YA audience.
So Blood Like Magic and Seed Among the Thorns.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep saying the titles because, you know, that gets in the auto captioning and then it gets in the metadata and then people learn more about it. So get those words out there, get those authors
Seed
read,
Among
right?
the Thorns by Morgan Lee and Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Samberry are both good books for YA readers.
Perfect.
The Keeper's Vow by Francina Simone is going to absolutely be for someone who wants to sit next to a roaring fire or a poolside and have an enjoyable, relaxing read about traumatic stuff. So be warned.
Nice. Content warnings.
Yeah, the same thing with Leslie Penelope's Song of Blood and Stone. It feels like it's geared towards a slightly older audience than young adults, so maybe mature new adults. There are a couple of scenes in there that would definitely be trigger warnings, but other than that, it is a great fantasy war story. Like I said, set in the 1900s, set kind of a parallel to the 1900s. And then,
what do you mean by 1900s?
Like 1900s technology. So it's a fantasy world, but they have, you know, early, not Model T, but like that kind of automobile.
Okay.
They're driving around and they're still on horseback. And they're shooting basically rifles at each other, so nothing, no advanced technology.
Nice.
And then the other books I read, let's see, it was Ensnared, short story by Aphrodite Lee, and then Fractals by D.L. Tillery. So both of those could be for young adults, really anybody who loves horror genre. Ensnared, it's a short story, so saying really much about it kind of gives away all the twists and all the excitement within the story. But basically somebody's car breaks down, and so they just find shelter in a log cabin, and then they meet a woman who owns the log cabin.
Yes, it does.
What?
Well, sounds like horror.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole anthology series is horror, and so it's them trying to survive in the cold with dwindling resources. and what happens from there. And every
okay.
couple of paragraphs, everything sort of turns around, and you find out more about them. And I don't want to give spoilers. And then Fractals is the exact same sort of thing, where it's a horror, but it's a camping trip gone awry. So what happens when a couple goes into the mountains and only one of them leaves?
Dun, dun, dun. Excellent. And I'll just give the shout out, since we have a couple people in the audience who would be interested, or who know this, I should say. DL Tillery is also known as the Mistress of Horror. And she has started the spinoff of Critique Group Live, which is Horror Edition. I don't know if there's a specific name, but I'm just calling it Horror Edition. Tell me if there's a different name and we can put it in the chat. But very exciting, because there's a good group of horror writers on YouTube, HorrorTube. And I feel like they're really prolific and active, and like, know each other's channels. I keep seeing like, new name pop up, and then I'm like, horror.
Horror. So
play in that pool.
Critique Group Live Horror.
Yeah. So started by Barrett Laurie in the comments, and popular enough to encourage a spinoff. So there you go.
So if you want to partake in the horror genre, go right ahead. It was a great anthology.
Yeah. The way that works is that you submit work and you have a live show where you talk about it, and I think they've only had one episode, so definitely get on that list if you're interested. Anybody else? You want to talk about your other books, Beth Ann? Yeah,
I was gonna say I haven't talked about all of mine. I will. I'm just behind. But one that I definitely haven't talked about is this poetry collection, The Shaping of an Angry Black Woman, which, it's a poetry collection. So some of the poems didn't speak to me, and some of them I thought were excellent. I think short story collections, poetry collections are all like that. Not everything is going to speak to everybody, but there are some like gut punch, powerful poems in here. And it's definitely a collection that would come with some content warnings, definitely for an adult audience. But it's just very real life, free verse poetry. I think it's fairly autobiographical. So there's definitely references to like drug and alcohol use and sexual history, and troubled relationships and things like that. But definitely super excellent if you're into that sort of thing, or curious about it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. And Tamara Woods is a frequent streamer. So she is often on doing reading sprints and other kinds of sprints. So you can subscribe to her channel and, catch her at a lot of different times during the week if you want to see what her style is. So
awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, I recommend her poetry collection. So
yay.
Yeah.
So Jen is having attacks of the sneezes because spring allergies are here. Barrett says he feels your pain. I am warding it off. I'm outside and I am not getting it yet, even though we have sunny days. So stay behind me, Satan.
Would you like my snow? Would that help? I can bring all my snow to you.
No.
Yeah. I'm talking to my parents, and they keep saying, it's raining up there, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we're not getting any of your rain. And I'm like, sorry? Like, I can send it to you? Like, in a box? I know. It's a perpetual Oregon, California problem. What can I say? They're hitting really hard this year. Yeah. Sorry, allergy sufferers. Okay, so I'll chime in on my other reads. So I did a wrap up, and that is in the playlist. And this is a good time to remind people that in the description near the top, there's a playlist of all the videos that I've caught people on, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but your guys' videos that you mentioned this in should be in. But I had the buddy read with Shannon where we talked about Blood Like Magic and gave all sorts of spoilers. So recommend you bookmark it for later. I had Angel Born by Elle Penelope, who we talked about for her fantasy, like classic fantasy or high fantasy, whatever Ben was calling it. Angel Born is more like fantasy romance for sure. I think it's her oldest book, her first backlist book. And it's about an angel who made the choice to become mortal because he was falling in love with someone. But then there's like a transformation process that you have to like vest your stock options to become mortal with this person. And that didn't happen because she died. So he's like stuck in limbo. And so what you get to hear is like plotting to get out of limbo and then like try to find his person again because there's reincarnation in this world. And it was angsty and lovely and like high tension, lots of good humor, and a sensitive treatment of trauma and friend relationships and that sort of thing. So I thought it was really well done. The other romance, the contemporary romance, was Christina C. Jones, who has the planner that I mentioned. And like I said, it was like an epilogue to her series with the Joneses. Sorry, not the Joneses. That's her name. The Wrights. The Wrights are the character's name. And always important to separate the characters from the real people because, you know, India likes to kill not people, but characters.
That's right.
Yes, and so the Wrights, Christmas with the Wrights was the Christmas novella that talked about like the ending of all those stories where the couples were together, but there was still added conflict. And I got a taste of all the relationships as they were sort of mature. And we've got it at different age levels. We've got it with different disabilities. We've got it with different life situations. So it was like seeing all of the rainbow of her novels like laid out in a buffet. So I really appreciated that. I think I chose very well. And I liked her writing style as well for a romance. So definitely going back. And then the person we have in the chat, which I actually brought up the whatever this is called, Kindle for, The Art of Love. So in my Instagram today, I put this up with the for people who love 80s power ballads because it's like very raw and emotional, and there's some smexy times, as we say on TikTok. And there's after the interview with Barrett, we can definitely see the influence because she talked about this. So, you know, go watch the Barrett Jc Carpenter interview. It was fantastic. To get another layer of depth to that. But yeah, it was rhyming poetry. So I will say like everything rhymed. JC had put a lot of work into the meter and the rhyme. And so I had a few favorites, which I don't think I have time to go into right now, but I can put those in the description afterwards because I bookmarked them. But just like Beth Ann was saying, like some of them hit better than others because like a short story or a poetry collection, you just have different experiences. And so I would share the ones that I liked that were sort of more tender and tentative, which is maybe just speaking to my personality. But JC had like a whole range of like syrupy sweetness to the smexy times to the like depth of despair kind of like relationship uncertainty stuff. So really, really great question.
I watched her interview with Barrett today, actually. That was while I was making my nachos for lunch. But yeah, it was an excellent interview. And I was just blown away by just like her warmth and transparency and just like, she just owns herself. Yeah. And so, yeah, I was definitely like, okay, yep, we're going to go watch some of those videos. We're going to read those books. Yeah. So that was, excellent interview. And also Barrett as an interviewer. Well, yeah, that was really awesome. So definitely going to be following
the Jenna thing here. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a plug. Agreeing. Yeah.
Nice.
Shannon loved it too. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. I think it's time for question 2, which for the books that you did not read on the panel or the books that you have not yet read for people in the chat, which one sounds right up your alley? So I know everyone's overflowing TBR at this point, but shout out which one you think you might want to read next. And of course, I'm going to go with the other Elle Penelope down here because I really like her. And, you know, I know she's an indie author trying to do all the things. So I like to support that. And also JC's other book, because now we know like the backstory that's like super more exciting, just like knowing. How about you guys?
JC, because, well, fellow Marylander.
Ooh, there you go.
Yep.
Former Marylander. Right? Former.
Yeah, I was a Marylander for about 2 months.
That's right.
I lived in DC for 6 years, so DC is like proximate, right?
No, you're sitting on our land. We donated the land, so
yeah,
got to be outside the Beltway.
True, fair.
Which
fair
Beltway?
Which is there more than one?
Yes, there's the Baltimore Beltway and there's the Capitol.
I mean, everything's really just contained inside 495, anyways.
Not really.
Okay. Delving into traffic discussion. Okay.
I also like that.
I also want to. Oh, sorry, Shannon. Go ahead.
So
I was going to add in the one.
Sandbury, yeah.
Margaret was just talking about the angel, and I missed the name on that one. The
Angelborn.
Leslie Penelope.
Angelborn. Well,
Oh,
that
sorry.
should be easy to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one.
And JC. I mean, I had that one already, number one, and then then the Angelborn.
We've got
So the
Marylanders
ones-
in the chat.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Shannon's saying blown away as well. Yay! Oh, Nia is also a former Marylander, and
We're everywhere.
we're everywhere.
Lots of weird.
Then you have to start to question, why are you all former Marylanders?
Do you know how
That begs
expensive
the
the cost
question.
of living is here?
What?
Do you know how expensive the cost of living is here?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I was
Portland,
in
yeah.
DC, so yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yay.
also, as an academic, there aren't that many academic jobs. So,
Bingo.
Yeah.
I definitely want to read some of JC's work. I also want to read LaSalle Sambury. I now want to read The Keeper's Vow. I want to read El Penelope. So I'm just in trouble. I want to read more Michael Laurent. Yeah. I'll shut up.
Oh, and just to like represent for the people who aren't here, Leo read Will. His name's Will W. Scott. He's mostly poetry, but he's got other stuff as well. And I've definitely already pimped his merch on this channel because I love it. He's witty, he's humorous. His videos are edited very fun. So the Post-its and Parchment, maybe I'll go for that one. So I will be waiting for Leo to talk about it on his channel and like give me the skinnies, which one I should go for.
Didn't he mention it at least a little? I thought he said it was really good. Am I misremembering that he hasn't talked about it?
Maybe. I don't know. I watch a lot.
Yeah, it might have
Go
been
back
in a
and check.
wrap up. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Cool
good.
deal.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Cool deal. Ben, were you gonna say something? Okay.
Nope.
All right. So oh, there we go. There's the
The reason why she's
yeah,
former Maryland.
military. You go where you're sent.
Yeah, my family was military in Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah, The Keeper's Vow. So and just like to talk about the channel part a little bit, I watched Francina Simone's channel as one of the early channels that I subscribed to by an author on YouTube, period. And she had a huge buildup of like a year of the newest one coming out. And then I didn't hear about it. So I went back to like check her channel and realized she had all these other books. And I was like, oh, well, why don't we choose from all these books instead? And so, yeah, so she had more of a catalog than I thought. I think it's because she indie published books and then she got big on YouTube and then she went traditional with the new one. And then she's been sort of like, I'm moving off and doing another thing on a different platform. And so like changed it up. But yeah, I liked her videos. So
Cool.
excellent. Cool. And Barrett said Keeper's Vow. Excellent. Oh, my old question that I didn't get to ask. Who would you recommend your own book to, hearing what everyone's genre is? Or other, yeah. Did that make sense? No. Okay, so I think that kind of got answered by the people who claimed it for themselves. But if you have another idea, let people know. Yeah. Okay. Rapid fire questions. Are you guys ready for this part?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because it's 1:45. I did not keep very good time this time. Sorry. Okay. Rapid fire round. Yes. So just to remind the audience, how many authors are on the panel that read the books to support Black authors?
How many authors are on the panel?
Yeah, 4 out of 6. Just, yeah, because I think it'll change your viewpoint when you participate in a readathon.
So is it 3 of us up here are the authors and the 3 down there are?
No, Ben.
No, Ben's an author, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
4 of 6.
Gotcha.
Soon to be
Did
technically,
Reed-
but yes.
Okay, I didn't
now
know where
I'm just
that
a writer.
line was. I'm sorry, I didn't know where that line was at.
Did reading one book lead you to other potential reads? And if so, give us some more titles. And we'll put those in the chat. I'm ready.
Smash It, of course, and the rest of the entire series to this because it's the first in a trilogy.
Okay.
Her newest book, I think, is called Smash It.
That's the one I was talking about that was traditional.
I think so. It came out in 2020, so I think so.
Okay. We can talk about some of the books that like didn't get picked because we had more possibilities in here. The Naked Firefly is a friend author-tuber, and she's got a book that's romance called The Healer's Love. So I'm interested in that one because I see her and she's great on panels and like sprints and stuff. So that would be a good one.
I remember being really interested in that when we were selecting our initial list to suggest to people. Yeah, and I just couldn't sign up for all of them.
You still got superstar status, so
I did what I could.
The superstar Beth Ann.
Yeah. Well, and also just to plug Nicole Falls, who wrote the 3 contemporary romances I read, and she has a ton of titles. And so her, at least the trilogy that I read, but I get the sense that this is true of several of her other series, that they're pretty short. So if you want, you know, you're just sitting in front of the fire for an evening, you just want to escape into a romance for like 2 or 3 hours, like they're perfect for that. And for other times too. But, you know,
I think that Christina C. Jones is like in that same like bracket.
It sounds like it. Yeah, no, I definitely, hearing you talk about that one, I'm like, oh, yep, gotta go try her too.
Yeah,
and, you know, try all the different romance authors. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Reading Morgan Lee's Seed Among Thorns had me sign up to become her critique partner. Seed Among the Rock.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exclusive access, Shannon. I don't know if anyone else is going to get that close to the material, but that's nice.
Yeah, but it will be out in Q2. At the end of Q2 is what I think she's planning on right now.
Oh,
Nice.
wait, that's end of June for those of us who don't know quarters.
Yeah, you got
right?
me. I haven't figured that one out yet either.
Yeah, okay. So maybe in the summer,
I
right?
just repeated
Okay.
what she said.
Yeah.
She's
Cool.
telling me
Okay.
end of Q2, so I'm like, okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, good to know.
Nice. And that's the one that's based on like a retelling of Midsummer Night's Dream, right?
No, that's a different one, I believe.
Is that
This
the one
is
she's
so-
drafting rather than editing?
Or one of her earlier ones, because she does have some earlier ones.
Yeah,
I know that
no,
came up in the chat.
She
and I
is
didn't...
doing a Midsummer Night's Dream, but I think that's her middle grade that she's working on. I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Different
Yeah,
project.
no, this is very dark. Like the gods are in conflict and people are caught in the middle, and there's like generational trauma and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, there's a prison world, which you know has no bearing upon this world that we live in at all, does it?
Right. It's where all the others go.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone, I have something listed as horror romance by Dahlia Dewinters.
I was really curious. Horror romance. What is that? Yeah. So I'm a little scared, which is why I didn't sign up to read it, but I want somebody else to read it and tell me about it so I can decide if I'm brave enough.
It's on my TBR for next month, so check in about 30 days.
Okay.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other authors that came to light when you were reading these? Let's see. Alexandra Warren.
Oh yeah,
English
she's
literature.
contemporary romance, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one in the same category.
I'll try her. I like romance. It's fun.
Throw them all in, right?
Yeah.
Are we talking about just other Black authors that we might suggest? Or is that a different question down the road?
Black author tubers that came to mind, channels, but
Zarina Matcha?
What's that?
Matcha? Zarina Matcha.
Oh yeah, Serena.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard of them. What do they do?
She's got a
She
stack.
does romance. Yeah, she rapidly released a lot last year, like very prolific last year, and it's mostly romance. And I think her biggest collection so far is male romance, because she said that's what does really well in the sales. So.
Okay, cool. I found that romance books are really great. My family drives a lot between New York and Maryland, where my mom is. And so like those late night drives after my kid has gone to sleep, I'm just like, let me just read a romance real quick.
So you go through Pennsylvania, do you? Where all the cornfields are?
Right across it, yeah.
I don't think I've ever been through Pennsylvania. Jenna's reaction to what? I missed that.
I was going to say I have a very animated face because coffee and cider, but no,
I think it was the
Pennsylvania.
horror romance. I think it might have been the horror romance reaction. I don't know.
Pennsylvania, the cornfields between Philly and Pittsburgh.
Okay. This
You're
is
from
supposed to
there,
be a
right,
rapid
honey?
fire. This is supposed to be a rapid fire question. Okay. Any new channel finds? So that was sort of contained in the same question. So we'll keep going. Any particular learning from Black Authortuber books? So I learned what sweetbread was, and I learned what shups means.
I know
You
ships.
had to help me with that one.
Yep.
So in Blood Like Magic, there's a specific Trinidadian tradition that comes through as an immigrant tradition in Canada, represented by the family and whatnot. And one of the things that was mentioned several times, but I was like, I don't know what this word means. I can get it from context that it means some sort of like tooth sucking, like expression of disapproval, but I wasn't sure, and I had no idea what it looked like because I was listening to the audiobook. So I had to ask Shannon, who had the actual book, to say, how is this spelled? Do you know what I'm talking about? And she looked it up and sent it to me. And then I looked it up online and I was like, oh, there's a whole video on it on YouTube. So there's actually a T in it, and some people say shtups and some people say shups.
Ships.
And it's like some like, you know, yeah. So that was good to learn. That was fun. It's always neat learning like cultural background, little trivia. How about anyone else? Anything come up in your books that was like exposing you to different cultural norms or backgrounds or traditions? Caravana, for example.
I feel like my books, it wasn't sort of details like that, but it was like overarching themes. And so I sort of already mentioned with Seed Among the Thorns, one of the themes that really struck me was the generational trauma theme. And so one of the big issues is that we have this female main character who's really struggling with, like, do I repeat the patterns of my ancestors, or do I break with that and forge like a new future for myself? And that's some of the central tension in the book. And so I think that just reflects a lot of what we're struggling with, you know, sociologically and culturally right now. And then, of course, the shaping of an angry Black woman, which just like really drives all kinds of structural issues home, just like very, in very emotional ways. So yeah, for me, it was sort of those broader thematic issues as opposed to, like specific cultural things. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. On that note.
Yeah, I was gonna say
sorry, bring it down. Yeah.
Fine.
No. I'm trying to give John and Ben a chance to answer.
Well, so my story was in a fantasy realm, so there isn't really direct correlations, but like Bethany said, the themes sort of carried over. So there's two countries at war, and you have one country filled with magic users who are despised by the technology, the other country, which is technology based. And so you had these warring factions and really, really heated racism throughout the entire story. So
now I'm even more curious. I'm going to read that one.
Go for it.
Right?
It's a good read. There's a lot of really good allegories for modern times. And
yeah, awesome.
At the end, it actually does come out and tell you the theme, which really, it worked because it just hit home so well. So there was an interesting point at the end.
Nice.
So
cool.
No
do
spoilers,
strongly recommend it.
but yeah, reward at the end.
Little hint. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I took away from Honors Reserve is that in 1,000 years, there will still be home phones. So I'm glad to see that.
Are they the hamburger home phones, though?
Hamburgers.
Rotary?
I don't think it's specified. I think it just said like the home phone rang. So I was like, yes. There will still be home phones in 1,000 years. So that's awesome.
I surprised someone today by saying I grew up with a rotary phone. I don't remember the context.
too.
Yeah.
I did too.
Wow.
Yeah. I did too.
Hey. No,
Actually-
go for Ben.
Well, 80s,
Ben's a little younger.
80s babies, most of us.
I actually still own rotary phones. So
Well, I have a whole sidebar I could go on about the phone company not connecting to rotary phones anymore because they're dastardly devils, but I won't because I want to get to our last question here, which is so it's really important to me and I think to the AuthorTube community that we don't make Black author books on YouTube a only February thing. And so this was a readathon to bring awareness and hopefully, get all those titles and authors' names out there in the ether, but also suggest that people read these books the rest of the year, right? So diverse reading. What are some other suggested ways you have to support Black authors beyond February? And that was a Reading Rainbow reference for anyone. So LeVar Burton.
Classic.
He's got a new podcast out too.
Sure.
I saw he was a couple months ago, he was on Jon Stewart. So that's on my to-watch list.
Oh, no. I mean, he actually has a weekly podcast where he reads short stories.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
LeVar Burton reads.
LeVar reads?
Okay.
LeVar Burton reads.
Okay. I mean, ever since the Jeopardy controversy, I think he's just been boosted in popularity, which is all to the good.
The podcast comes before Jeopardy, I think. It's been around for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yay. Answers to my question, though?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so just support them. So, like you said, DL Tillery, she has her Authortube. She has CGL Horror that meets monthly. So, any of the authors that we mentioned here, they all have Authortube videos. So check out their channel, subscribe, watch them, support them however you can.
Don't just buy their books, but buy their merch.
There you go. They have some really cool merch. Also true.
And I think that the fact that we all read, some of us overlapping books, but we all read different types of books, and now the audience knows that they'll know to go out and get some of these as well. But then it goes back to, I think, I'm not as familiar with the BookTube world, and I think you guys might have more events that might maybe help to bring in more Black authors, but I don't know them to be able to suggest.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's partly just continuing to read. And so now I feel like I have a list. I've got recommendations from all of you folks and from Leo and Loretta who couldn't make it. But yeah, so I can sort of pick and choose some additional ones to fill out my list and, fit my mood. But then as a booktuber, I can talk about them in my monthly wrap-ups. I can fit them into readathons and tag videos and things like that. So yeah, for me, it's just like, okay, I've added to my TBR in sort of like a targeted way. And I'll just like keep on doing that, even though it's not February anymore. So yeah, it's a pretty obvious way to do it. And then of course, social media. So I'm fairly active on Twitter and Instagram a little bit. And so, yeah, just like tweeting and sharing people that I'm now following. So yeah.
Yay. Definitely.
And then Margaret, don't you have like a requirement on your book list for every month that you read? Don't you have a requirement that you get like, one ebook, one indie author, one BIPOC author? You have all those requirements for yourself every month, right?
Yes. So I started in February doing what do I call it? Goals, like reading goals per month, basically trying to make sure I am diversifying my list and not getting too, I don't know, close to Lord of the Rings spinoffs, because maybe that's what I need that month. Yeah, you got to walk a careful line between like, I'm ticking a box for a thing every month, and I'm going to research these authors and see what their backstory is and see what their backlist is and see what their business model is, because we have lots of things to learn from them, and I want to support them because they have factors loaded up against them just by nature of our society. So that's sort of what I feel called to do. So don't mind the blushing, because I'm talking about personal values, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I've made that a goal for 2022. As Shannon was saying, like indie books, especially because I wasn't reading as many as our friend Joe at Go Indie Now. So we're going to be doing some buddy reads next month, which is fun. I've also, this is a sneak preview of the May of the Moderns prompt. I asked Bree of Locked Booktition to give one of the prompts, and I'm actually asking some of my booktuber friends to give the prompts for the readathon, because I did them all last year, and I'm not pulling all the things that could be pulled from 1901 to 1945. So I'm going to get like guest prompts, and Bree's Black Classics are going to be playing a big role in the readathon. So I'm excited.
Yay.
I was already planning to read more Langston Hughes because I fell in love with one of his novels in your readathon last year. And I was like, oh, can I reread that one? And then I'll also read another one. But yeah, so I have that prompt on lock. Yeah.
Sweet.
Woo.
Any other thoughts? I think I have one more question for everybody. Any Black author channels not mentioned that we need to raid and subscribe to? So I'll just pop that up as we go out. Oops.
Love Qualified.
Love Qualified.
Good choice.
Yeah, she's very religious. Her poetry, her book of poetry is religious based, but she has a very nice channel.
Awesome. Nice. And Jenna knows it. She just chimed in.
It popped up on my feed recently, and now I know why. It's because I'm subscribed to you. Maybe it suggested that to me for that reason. So
algorithms, they know us better than we know ourselves.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So one person who didn't get a shout out because no one read the book, but I think is a tremendous force on the YouTubes that we inhabit, BookTube and AuthorTube, even though she doesn't call herself an Authortuber, is Keshe Warren, Shay with the Hobbies.
Oh, yes.
It's a short story, and the horror is the revenge one, and then I can't remember what the other one. She has 2 short stories out, and does a whole lot for the community. And so I would definitely recommend rating her channel and subscribing. She is on YouTube as well as Twitch doing streams and just like being all around awesome in terms of raising awareness, in terms of having honest discussions, in terms of hosting other people on her channel, in terms of doing collaborations and just like being amazing. So Shay with the THA Hobbies, all one word.
Barrett's like mentioned like 3 more in chat.
You
sorry.
know that everybody's.
So the Cheesecake Man has a hamburger phone. This is just a funny thing. I'm gonna catch up. Barrett Googled the hamburger phone and is jealous, even though he's a vegetarian. And then Pay said, "Same, but I still want a hamburger." And Ben said, "Hamburger phone less than banana phone." Do you have a banana phone? I've never heard of a
ring,
banana
ring,
phone.
ring, 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 ring.
That's the one. There we go. The song.
I got you, Ben. I got you.
Yes. So just pointing out review. Yes. And so that's what I was encouraging my fellow readers this month to do. Instagram has a bunch of
published stuff. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I still need to catch up. Okay. So Love Qualified.
I'm trying to catch up. Nope. I know Portia Simmons doesn't have any published stuff yet because I've looked her up.
Okay. So we've got Ren and Melanin. Black Girl Writing without the vowels. So check that. Telly Simpson. That's one I've never heard of. Cool.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one either.
Thank you, Barrett. And D. Blair Gold, who has popped into the chat several times, and I know, so following her.
The Naked Firefly, yeah. I think we talked about her earlier too.
Yeah, we had one of her books on the list. Yeah.
Recent Files. I think I'm hearing some CGL.
Okay, awesome.
Friends coming on. Portia Simmons, yeah.
Yay.
And Naked Firefly, yeah.
I was trying to research some of the ones that are on my subscribe list. And I was trying to figure out who was published and who wasn't to answer your question, Margaret. And I couldn't find Portia's work, so I guess I didn't go deep enough.
Yay! Thank you, Barrett.
Yes, thank you.
I know. I'm rating Nia because the historical fiction niche of AuthorTube is so small. I need more help.
Is that what Nia's working on?
Yes.
That's
historical.
awesome. Okay.
You have a special subgenre that was like historical and sci-fi fantasy. So I'm not sure whether.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like my jam. I need to read that. Okay. I'm very excited.
Nice. Yeah, it's almost.
Y'all can be beta readers for her work.
Yeah. And Loki is cute and all, like the dog, but I can't wait to see the historical fiction, the cover, the content, like start rolling it out, Nia. We're gonna be happy to boost your signal for sure. Sci-fi fantasy. There you go.
Nice.
So the fantasy is mine.
I'm excited about all of it. I want to know how it all works. Like, give it to me.
There you go. Subscribe to Vixen of Fiction. There we go.
Yeah.
She also streams to YouTube and Twitch. So if you're on both platforms,
awesome.
Get it. Triple threat.
100%.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, here we go. I think we're just after the end of the hour. So thank you all for participating in this chill readathon to help support Black authors. I loved seeing the spreadsheet fill up, and let me know if you're not on the playlist and I'll get you on the playlist. And, you know, keep supporting Black authors on YouTube all year long. Much appreciated. And it's like the least we can do, and we'll just keep amplifying. So yay.
Yay. Thank you, Margaret, for organizing.
Yes,
Thank you.
Margaret.
Have a lovely night.